And I've been rewatching different trials and Jeff LaCasse and all that good stuff. And I thought, you know what? I might as well just rewatch it with y'all. And I wasn't able to listen to it live, but Jackie St. Germain and Garish did a fun live today. It's always fun listening to them. They're both so creative. They do amazing videos. And every time I listen to it, I get just fired up. Just when I like want to let it go, I can't. I mean, I think I'm more on fire to get windy now than I was even a year ago. But I'm not going to be on camera tonight because I got home and I'm going to tell y'all, I got in the hot tub and I don't know how in the world Jeff LaCasse sat in a hot tub for 2 hours with Charlie Adelson, because there's just no way. But my feet feel better. Took a shower, I'm in my pajamas, and what I was thinking was we could rewatch. So the other night we all watched Jeff LaCasse from Trial 2, but I want to go back and watch Trial 1 and just kind of hear what he says. Grish and Jackie talked a lot about Jeff today. And I mean, he's such a key, y'all. He is the key. And if you're a praying person, we all just need to put prayers around him because I know from my last live, people were commenting, oh, he's married. He's fine. He is not. Okay. I'm just telling y'all, he is not. So he's the key. I mean, I hope he's being protected. But I showed on the last live, I don't know when that was, a few days ago, Tuesday or Wednesday night. I think it was Tuesday night. Tara Kawas in 2022 said, if you want to know how I feel about Wendy Adelson, watch my cross of Jeff and Katie's trial, her retrial in 2022. And it was very evident, like she's very much thinking Wendy was in on it. And she said it was different from her first trial with Katie and Sigfredo in 2019. So I thought we would watch that. And I was even thinking, I think we might watch Georgia's opening from that trial. It's only like 25 minutes. So I thought we'd watch that. And I just want y'all to comment. I want everybody to tell me where y'all are watching from and just everything. I just want this to be casual. And, if people are like, you don't stay on topic, you go off on a tangent. I mean, that's what lives are for. But I'm happy y'all are here. I am working. I'm going to bring y'all some more Adelson stuff. I'm working on it. I've got more FOIA stuff to show you. I'm going to show y'all like all their real estate stuff. I'm working on researching if they still own it. That's kind of been a debated topic. So I'm happy y'all are here. And I'm Leslie B. This is True Crime in a Minute. I am not a professional YouTuber. Started this channel less than a year ago, and I have a real job, and people can say get a life, but I love this. I would do YouTube full time if I could. But happy y'all are here, and I'm gonna start with Georgia's. This is her first opening in the series of trials. So this would be 2019. This was Sigfredo and Katie's trial. So we're gonna pull that up. And I just want y'all to comment, share what you're thinking about everything. Let's go. Oh, and just so y'all know, the audio, if you're new to this case, the audio was so bad back when 2019. And I have this all the way up on YouTube as loud as it will go. So you might have to really crank it, okay?
The evidence in this case will show that at 11 a.m. on July 18th, 2014, Jim Geiger is with his wife and grandchildren at his home on Trescott Drive when he hears a noise that sounds like a gunshot. He goes to a large bay window at the front of his residence and looks outside toward his neighbor's house. And he observes what appears to be a light-colored Prius or Prius type vehicle back quickly out of his neighbor's driveway and take off toward Benton Road. Concerned, Mr. Geiger walks out his front door and walks in the direction of his neighbor's residence. His neighbor is Dan Markel. Seeing that Mr. Markel's vehicle is running in the garage, he's thinking, well, maybe Mr. Markel's about to back out. So he kind of goes back to his house, but he kind of keeps an eye on the driveway. When Mr. Markel does not back out after a couple moments, Mr. Geiger goes over to do some further investigation. And that is when he sees a terrible sight. His neighbor, Dan Markel, behind the wheel with a terrible wound to his head. There is shattered glass everywhere. Mr. Markel is seated in the driver's seat. He's alive, he's moving, he's still groaning, but he's not able to talk. He's not responsive, and he's obviously in distress. Mr. Geiger, seeing this, runs home for his phone and calls 911. That call came in at 11:01 a.m. in broad daylight. First responders arrived to find 41-year-old Dan Markel unresponsive. He's taken to the hospital where he survives for some time, I think about 14 hours, before he is officially pronounced deceased. Dan Markel, father of two young boys and highly respected attorney at law and professor at the Florida State University College of Law, was shot twice in the head in his own garage in broad daylight. Who would do such a thing? Nothing seems to be missing from the crime scene. There's no sign of a forced entry or a robbery attempt. How do you begin to investigate a case like this? What clues did the killers leave behind? Well, thanks to our 911 caller, we know that the suspect vehicle is a light-colored Prius. And there's a second 911 call as well. You'll learn that Mr. Markel was on the phone at the time he was murdered, and the person that he was on the phone with heard Markel say, "Hold on a moment, there's someone in my driveway I don't recognize." Then the line went dead and the man was unable to reach Mr. Markel again, so he called 911. So we learned from that the person that murdered Mr. Markel was a stranger to him. It was someone he did not recognize. An inquiry into Dan Markel's movements that morning revealed that he dropped his two young sons off at daycare at about 8:50 a.m., then went to work out at Premier Gym, and then was killed shortly upon his return home from the gym. Law enforcement obtained surveillance from the gym and later surveillance from a city bus. So there are cameras mounted to city buses, and they got surveillance from the city buses along the route that they think this Prius might have traveled, along the route that they think Mr. Markel.
So, George is talking about the city buses. We all know that was like a turning point in the investigation. They got those a year after. So it was like July 2015. I would love to see if they have footage of Wendy driving to see if it matches with her testimony that she was home, because, there's a lot of speculation that maybe she was watching from the woods when the shooting actually happened. And that's how, when Katie spoke to Sigfredo and he says it's done, and she says, "I know." Wouldn't that be something? I have to think they've looked for that. What do you think?
Would have traveled between the gym and his residence. And they discover something ominous on the surveillance footage. A light-colored Prius, which they deduced from this surveillance was silver pine mica. That's the...
Hey, I know the sound is low. It is full blast. This was 2019, and if but the audio was awful. So I'm sorry, you just got to crank it up. But it is as loud as it will go on YouTube.
Exact color, which appears to follow Dan Markel into the gym parking lot at 9:11 a.m. on the morning of his death. The Prius waits in the parking lot for Mr. Markel to work out, which is approximately an hour. And then the Prius follows Mr. Markel out of the parking lot at about 10:38.
Hey, Jennifer Manning, you can be tired of it. You don't have to be here, okay? It's Friday night. A lot of people like listening to this, so you can go. You don't have to be here. That's the beauty. Go start your own channel, and you come up with a new story. That's fine.
a.m. Prius was also observed on a surveillance camera from the city bus, which narrows the time of Mr. Markel's death even further, because we see that Prius on a bus both before, minutes before, and then moments after the murder as well, fleeing at a high rate of speed north on Thomasville Road towards the interstate. And you will observe these surveillance videos and learn a few things from these images that were captured about our suspect vehicle. You'll learn the exact color of the Prius, silver pine mica, the approximate year of the vehicle, the fact that the vehicle had a black aftermarket side mirror attached to it, a missing tow hook cover, which is just a little round circle on the front bumper of the vehicle, and a SunPass transponder mounted to the front of the windshield. Also, in one of the images from the city bus captured after the murder, you will see the presence of what appears to be a driver in a dark colored shirt and a passenger in a light colored shirt. That becomes important because later, when we have two suspects develop, we find an ATM video that shows in Pembroke Pines, Florida, on the same day of the murder, a silver pine mica Prius at an ATM with our two suspects pictured inside, and you'll see those images as well. So meanwhile, law enforcement's gathering these surveillance images, trying to get information about the suspects and the vehicle that might be involved in this murder. While they're doing that, they're simultaneously trying to learn more about Dan Markel's life, who is close to him, who might have a motive to want him dead. Law enforcement meets with Markel's ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, whereby they learn that she has been embroiled in a very contentious divorce and continued litigation with Mr. Markel regarding the enforcement of the divorce settlement agreement and specifically the custody of their two boys. Pleadings from the divorce indicate that Wendy Adelson had made efforts to relocate to South Florida. She'd actually moved to South Florida with the kids, and a court ordered her on June 20th, 2013, that she had to come back to Tallahassee. She couldn't leave with Mr. Markel's children. Emails between Wendy Adelson and her mother, Donna Adelson, that occur around the time of this litigation, about 1 year before the murder, indicate that Donna Adelson despised Dan Markel and was desperate to find a way for Wendy and these two kids to move down to where she was located in South Florida. Donna Adelson in these emails refers to Dan Markel as a religious zealot, a bastard. She says, let's show this F blank, 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 what will make him absolutely miserable, and proposes a plan of action for how to threaten and or bully and or bribe Dan Markel into allowing Wendy to move to South Florida with the children. These plans included converting the children to Catholicism, even though the entire family was Jewish. All the Adelsons were Jewish as well. But this suggestion was a way to gain leverage against Mr. Markel because Dan Markel was very observant in his faith, and it was very important to him that his children be raised in an environment that observed and was committed to the Jewish faith. The divorce between Wendy and Dan Markel was final back on July 31st of 2013, but as I mentioned, the litigation continued as both sides filed pleadings back and forth in reference to alleged violations of the divorce agreement, in reference to child custody, and specifically one of the last pleadings filed prior to Dan Markel's murder is in reference to Wendy Adelson's mother, his mother-in-law, Donna Adelson. And in this pleading, he alleged that the children's grandmother, Donna Adelson, was disparaging him to the kids, and he was petitioning the court to order that Donna Adelson not be allowed to have unsupervised contact with his children, her grandchildren. A ruling was never made on that motion because Dan Markel was murdered before the hearing was conducted. Wendy Adelson was interviewed, as I mentioned, and she will tell you that she sure hopes someone didn't do this on her behalf. She will tell you that her brother, Charlie Adelson, who also lives in South Florida with her mother, not with, but in the same area as her mother, Donna Adelson, and her father, Harvey Adelson. She'll tell you that Charlie, quote, looked into hiring a hitman, but decided buying her a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper. And what was her alibi for the murder? Where was she when Dan Markel was killed? She has a witness who was present at her home, a repairman who was fixing that very TV, an appointment that was set up by her mother, Donna Adelson. So Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, has made references to hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel, and now hitmen have murdered Dan Markel. Meanwhile, law enforcement is still putting together more information about the Prius and the killers. They have gotten a search warrant for all the phone numbers that interacted with the cell tower, consistent with people being in the area of Premier Gym at the time that we know they were there. So literally every cell phone that interacted with those towers during that hour period of time. And they cross-referenced all of that data with Mr. Markel and his in-laws. So basically, have any of the phone numbers that appeared on that tower around the time that we know the suspects were at the gym been in contact recently with Dan Markel or with his in-laws or with his ex-wife? The purpose of that was to try to see if there was any link there. And coming through all this data and putting it all together was a very tedious task, but they did find one number with a South Florida exchange, which was present both in the area of Premier Gym at the time that the killers were there, and was linked to a single phone call on July 1st, 2014, so about 17 days before the murder. This number that was at Premier Gym from South Florida contacted Harvey Adelson, so the father-in-law of the deceased, husband of Donna Adelson, father of Wendy Adelson. And that number that contacted Harvey Adelson and that was also present at the gym on our date in question belonged to Sigfredo Garcia, the defendant in this case, aka Tuto, Tuto. And an examination of Garcia's call logs showed a frequent contact with another number, which also was present on our what we're calling tower dumps. So all those numbers that interacted with that cell phone tower at Premier at that time. Another number, no connection with the Adelsons that we found, but a frequent caller of Sigfredo Garcia is Luis Rivera. That phone number was also present at Premier at the time that our suspect vehicle was there. Luis Rivera's AKA is Tato. So we've got Tuto and Tato. So why would these two guys, Tuto and Tato, with no apparent ties to Tallahassee, be all the way up here from Miami, hanging around the gym at the same time that our suspect Prius was there? Possibly because they're our suspects. They're the ones inside the Prius. So now that we have these suspect phone numbers, we subpoena all the location information from the cell phone providers to show information about Rivera and Garcia's phones. Where were they during the time leading up to the homicide and after the homicide and at the time of the homicide? And what it shows, which you'll get detailed testimony about in the form of digital evidence, is that Rivera and Garcia's phones leave Miami on July 16th, 2014. You'll see their movements up from Miami to Tallahassee. You'll see their movements around Tallahassee, including being in the area of Premier Gym. And then you'll see that both phones are consistent with having been turned off around the time that the Prius was at Premier Gym waiting for Dan Markel to come out. And both phones remain inactive until about an hour after the murder, where they pop back up, headed southbound on the interstate toward Miami. As a result of this evidence, Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia were charged with first-degree murder of Dan Markel. The police work that has just taken me a few minutes to summarize took about 2 years to accomplish. By the time Rivera and Garcia were arrested for this murder, Rivera was in custody on an unrelated federal racketeering charge, which concerned Rivera's affiliation with a criminal street gang. So when we developed these suspects, Rivera's in custody on something else. Ultimately, the state made a deal with Rivera to tell the truth in exchange for a plea to second-degree murder and a 19-year prison sentence to run concurrent or at the same time as his federal sentence. Rivera will tell you that he was hired by his lifelong friend, Sigfredo Garcia, who was hired by his longtime girlfriend and children's mother, Catherine Magbanua, aka Katie, to come to Tallahassee and to kill Dan Markel. Magbanua had an on-again, off-again relationship with Mr. Garcia, and during one of the off-again periods, you will learn prior to the murder, during one of these off-again periods with Mr. Garcia, she was seeing somebody else, a wealthy dentist by the name of Charlie Adelson. Charlie Adelson had a sister in Tallahassee, Wendy Adelson, and Wendy Adelson had a problem, and her problem was named Dan Markel. And the solution to that problem,
I'm going to try and not talk real loud because I know you have your volume cranked. Thank you for pointing that out, Elizabeth. That is like one of my favorite Georgia quotes. Wendy Adelson had a problem, and that problem was Dan Markel. We just think how many times Wendy Adelson is named in opening and closing arguments.
was Magbanua, Rivera, and Garcia. Garcia told Rivera that Catherine Magbanua had gotten them a job, and it was a big one. It was going to pay a lot of money. The job was in Tallahassee. Rivera and Garcia made, you'll learn, not one, but 2 trips to Tallahassee. The first trip was about 6 weeks prior to Markel's death, and it was intended to be a murder trip, but it ended up being more of a scouting trip. The murder did not occur. Garcia told Rivera on the way to Tallahassee on that first trip that they were coming up here to do a murder. Garcia showed Mr. Rivera a photograph of who they were coming to kill. He had a piece of paper with a picture of Dan Markel on it and some typed words underneath. He indicated to Rivera that they needed to kill this guy so that his wife could get their kids, and that they were going to be paid $100,000 for the job, with Rivera's cut being $35,000. Rivera bought a gun off the street, and Garcia rented a car for this June trip. Rivera asked Garcia, and this is the first trip, Rivera asked Garcia who knew that he was going along, who knew he was involved. And Garcia assured him that only Katie knew, Catherine Magbanua. On the way, Garcia showed Rivera the piece of paper, and Rivera also overheard several phone calls between Garcia and Magbanua during this first trip, which included Magbanua instructing Garcia about what they needed to do, including things like, make sure you do everything right. Don't do anything stupid. When you are done, call me. Garcia and Rivera got a hotel room here in Tallahassee on this first trip. They did some scouting around the Markel residence, but couldn't get the job done, and ultimately headed back to Miami. 6 weeks later, the 2 returned to Tallahassee in the green Prius rented by Luis Rivera in Miami, Florida. They brought the same gun that was present on the first trip, the one that Luis Rivera bought off the street, and that ultimately becomes the murder weapon. On this trip, they spend 2 nights in Tallahassee, again, scouting around the Markel residence, attempting to follow Mr. Markel. And you'll hear, Catherine Magbanua previously instructed them not to do anything stupid. And her reasoning for that will be evidenced by some of the activity that they get up to when they're here. For example, Garcia accidentally shot a hole in the floorboard on the passenger side of the Prius with murder weapon prior to the murder, which resulted in them severing the gas line and rendering the vehicle inoperable. Then they had to get a ride to the store to buy some supplies to fix the thing on the side of the road. So you'll hear a little bit about that. Then, the night before the murder, Rivera will tell you that he took a picture of an owl and posted it on Instagram, which, as y'all may know, indicates where you are when you post something. And he'll tell you that Catherine Magbanua immediately called Garcia to tell Rivera how stupid he was and to take the picture down because nobody could know where he was. Again, Rivera overhears.
Again, I'm going to talk kind of softly. I don't think that was mentioned in any other trial, but I thought it was interesting that Georgia brought that up in the first one. And I recently listened to oh my God, what is the book with the Epstein? Extreme Punishment. He says Luis Rivera posted a picture of a tiger. But I know we've always heard owl, but I just thought it was interesting. What do y'all think about that? The owl. Do you go with Grish's theory that Wendy was there the morning of the hit wearing the owl shirt? And then, Luis Rivera is saying he saw her before the hit wearing the owl shirt, and then he posted it that night as a message. Do y'all think it's coincidence? I'd love to hear what y'all think.
Conversation during the second trip between Garcia and Magbanua. Catherine Magbanua indicates that they have to get this job done because the professor is planning to leave town in the near future. So on July 18th, 2014, Rivera and Garcia follow Professor Markel to the daycare where he drops off his kids at approximately 8:50 in the morning. Then they go to the gym where they wait in the parking lot while Mr. Markel works out. And then they go to his home where Rivera pulls the Prius into the driveway close up to the bumper of Mr. Markel where he's parked in his driveway. You'll hear that Garcia gets out and approaches Markel with the revolver purchased on the street by Luis Rivera, and that Garcia shoots Mr. Markel twice through the driver's window before hopping back into the Prius. Rivera backs out of the driveway and they head back to Miami. I mentioned earlier that both men had their phones off and that once they turn their phones back on, the very first call that either of them make after the homicide is Mr. Garcia to Catherine Magbanua. And what does he say? He says, the job is done. And what does she reply? She says, I know. There's a brief discussion about when they'll get their money. And Catherine Magbanua says, don't worry about the money. I will get the money. You'll get it tomorrow. Then the next day, Rivera was at the barber shop when he talked to Catherine Magbanua. She advised that she had the money and was looking for Garcia to pay up, but wasn't able to find Garcia. Rivera knew where to look for Garcia at another young lady's residence. Rivera successfully rounds up Garcia and they all meet at Rivera's house where Rivera gets his payment. So Rivera, Garcia, and Magbanua are all present. Rivera gets his money, $35,000, stapled into packs of $1,000 apiece. Garcia also gave Rivera a little extra money later that night while they're out celebrating. In the weeks and months after the homicide,
Hey, Maestro, I'm using Chrome, but this has only got a few minutes left, and then the next one's normal, so sorry.
Rivera and Garcia they each bought a motorcycle. Garcia also bought a car. Catherine Magbanua also got a car, a black Lexus, whose previous owner happens to be Harvey Adelson. Magbanua was also put on the payroll at the Adelson's dental practice shortly after the homicide and began receiving regular checks for approximately 2 years, although law enforcement has yet to determine what, if anything, what if any service she provides to that dental office. And the folks that work there don't seem to know either. She got a breast augmentation surgery shortly after the homicide. She had trips paid for by Charlie Adelson after the homicide that didn't even include him. And she deposited large amounts of cash into her bank account around the time of the murder, sometimes multiple deposits at different banks in the same day. So in an effort to ferret out who are all of the members of this conspiracy and to prove how information flowed, how was the conspiracy structured, we, on April 19th, 2016, so almost 2 years after the murder, law enforcement conducts an undercover operation. They got court authorization to go up on a wire, what's called a wire, on Catherine Magbanua's phone and also Charlie Adelson's phone, which means they could listen in real time to what was being said on these phones. That's, despite some popular belief, not something the government normally can do without special authorization. In this case, that authorization was put in place, and law enforcement was prepared to listen to both Catherine Magbanua's calls and Charlie Adelson's calls. They then sent an undercover agent posing as someone who basically was on behalf of Rivera to walk up to Donna Adelson on the street and basically try to extort money out of her. This undercover officer handed Donna Adelson a piece of paper. And on the paper is a story about the death of Dan Markel. It includes a photograph of Dan Markel, and written on the page is a phone number and the amount $5,000. And the undercover agent, I'm summarizing, tells Donna Adelson, basically, my buddy Rivera, he didn't say the word Rivera, but my buddy's sitting in jail, and you're out here taking care of Katie and Tudo. So basically, he's asking for $5,000 for Rivera to even things out. So now law enforcement starts listening to the calls. Like, we do this little thing. It's 2 years after the murder. We do this undercover operation to try to generate some chatter and see who will say what to whom. And you'll get an opportunity to hear some of those phone calls that result from this undercover operation. That phone number, the undercover agent's phone number that's written on that piece of paper that's handed to Donna Adelson, you're going to see that it travels from Donna to Charlie to Katie and then to Sigfredo. You will hear and see evidence of these calls, and you can make of them what you will. But in conclusion, I believe that you will be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that the state is not pulling a fast one on you, but rather that Catherine Magbanua was hired to solicit Garcia, who in turn solicited Rivera to come to Tallahassee and to execute Mr. Markel in cold blood. At the conclusion of the evidence, I will ask you to return a verdict of guilty as charged for both defendants. Thank you.
All right. So that was Georgia's opening in 2019. That was the first trial. I think the sound is going to be better from here on out. So I'm sorry if I'm blasting anybody out on your AirPods. You're drifting off to sleep. I know what that's like. But real quickly, I just thought we would look at this This is the eye care, and we could send. I was thinking I would love to send Donna a package of bacon. So you're not on eye care to send packages to unless you're approved for visitation. But this is how you can send somebody a hot meal, which I was kind of curious how that worked. But somebody said, I think the kitchen at the prison like makes this stuff. You can add on onion rings for $3.99, a French silk pie. Can y'all imagine the diarrhea this would give her? I had a dinner the other night with some lovely senior citizens, and they're in their 80s, and the husband said, well, she keeps losing weight because she's had diarrhea for 2 years. I mean, literally in the middle of dinner. But I just giggled. I was thinking about Donna. What do y'all think this meat lovers calzone, how that would sit with her? Okay, I'll get back to it. So this sound should be okay. This is from my live the other night, but I'm just going to show a snippet of Tara Kawas in 2022. And she says, if you want to know how I feel about Wendy, because she's scared to really comment as an attorney, watch how I cross her in 2022. And we watched it. Now we're going to watch the 2019 testimony of Jeff. I don't know if I said that. I meant Jeff LaCasse. But let's just kind of see this little snippet. But yeah, we're going to keep doing this because it's all about justice for Dan, justice for his parents, and frankly, justice for those Markel boys who don't even realize what's been done, or that's what we think. But maybe they do realize. Okay, so I'm going to show this little clip of Tara Kawas when she was with Katie at her sentencing, Katie McBanois, in 2022. And somebody asked her, what about Wendy? Just a couple minute clip, and then we're going to go into Jeff's testimony. But she said, if you want to know how I feel about Wendy, watch my cross of Jeff in the second trial for Katie.
The different strategy of trying to now just lay out what we believe happened from what the evidence that we had. And one thing everyone's consistent with, there's no question. When it comes to the defense, we do 100% believe that Charlie Adelson was behind all of this.
Oh,
So, see, I don't want to commit, but I would say, I'm a person who knows about the standard of proof, and I'd have to say, and I don't want to get, look at my cross-examination of Jeff LaCasse, and that will let you know how I stand on that position. Okay, and I think you know what I mean. That actually changed for me from the first to the second trial as I was looking over things again. But that's why my cross was that way. And my position on her is a little different. She's a member of the Florida Bar, so she's an attorney. So let me just leave it at that before I get myself in any trouble. So,
As a member of the.
we have a different ethical standard in terms of. Just from what my understanding is, that I found out from the victim impact, which I don't have access to the Markels.
Okay, so basically, Tara is telling us she thinks Wendy's very involved, but I want to see how her first trial in 2019 crossing Jeff, what she said. And I'm rewatching this because I'm working on another video for y'all. And so I have to rewatch these things. Not have to, but I get to. And I just thought, let's all watch it together because I love hearing what y'all pick up on as well. So I like hearing what y'all think. And Sir Tedrick Walker, I so agree. You said Wendy Fibber's plan did not account for Mr. Geiger. And you are so right. Didn't think that there would be a witness at home there that day. Should have thought about it. John, I don't put much into the owl shirt thing. I go back and forth. I'm not 100% sold on her being there. but I'm not totally against it either. But yeah, Epstein's book, Extreme Punishment, says that Lewis posted a picture of a tiger. I know what you mean, Andrew. You see pictures of owl shirts everywhere now, or you see owl shirts. So my sorority mascot is an owl. So I've always had a lot of owl stuff, but now I kind of look at them kind of evil. Yeah, who did it? True Crime Wifey, Wendy is most likely wearing an owl shirt in the photo at Lake Ella. It has the same cap sleeves. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Sir Tedrick Walker, I believe Wendy Fibbers on drive-by crime scene didn't think anyone would know or be there. That's why she was shocked the cops were already there. Yeah, no, I agree. Supposedly though, she was so busy that morning, like emailing and texting and calling. I mean, she called more people. But I think the records show like a 45-minute time of her not doing any kind of phone calls. And so some people speculate that could have given her the time to drop to Trescott and parked in those Ashford apartments and seen it all. Honestly, like at this point, nothing is out, right? Anything's possible. But let's hear what Jeff says in his first trial. But I enjoy hearing y'all's comments.
If you'd face the clerk and be sworn, please, sir, raise your right hand.
Okay, again, y'all, this is as loud as I can do it. I mean, it is cranked. Again, 2019. The audio in this courtroom is horrific. Thank God they fixed it for Donna's trial. So I will talk softly. If y'all want to, you will hear this better if you have like an earbud. And Maestro, I know you're asking what kind of browser I use. And it's Chrome, and I have YouTube Premium. I don't know what else I can do.
I do.
You may proceed.
Sir, please introduce yourself and spell your first and last name.
Yeah, I'm Jeffrey LaCasse, Jeffrey. Excuse me. Last name spelled Lacasse.
How are you employed, Mr. LaCasse?
I'm employed at Florida State University as an associate professor.
All right, what about back in 2014?
I was an assistant professor at Florida State
All
University.
right. And did you have a relationship with Wendy Adelson?
I did.
What type of relationship was that?
We started dating in the fall of 2013. She became my girlfriend around March of 2014.
Okay, and when did that relationship end?
July of 2014.
Okay. And when the breakup occurred, was there a big argument that occurred that precipitated the breakup?
We had a argument in late June. She went to South Florida for a couple of weeks, and when she came back, we tried to make things work, and it didn't really work. She sort of cut off contact.
All right, and during that argument when she went to South Florida, was she in South Florida on July 1st,
I believe she
2014?
was. I dropped her off at her house on June 29th, I believe.
Okay. And during the course of your relationship with Ms. Adelson, did you ever meet her family?
I did.
Who did you meet?
I met her brother. We went to South Florida for an alternative spring break, went to a Markel, and I had dinner with her brother. And I met her mother at her house just very briefly, maybe 10, 15 minutes at dinner. And when I would pick her up and the kids were there with the grandparents, I would have just a couple moments interaction with them. I didn't have a lot of contact.
Okay. And what about Catherine Magbanwa? Did you ever have an occasion to meet her?
Yeah, I went to dinner with her. I believe it was on March 11th when we went over there to meet Charlie.
Okay. So who was present at that meal on March 11th? And that's 2014?
That's correct. It was myself, Wendy Adelson, Charlie, and Katie. at
Charles
dinner.
Adelson
Charles
and
Adelson
Catherine
and
Mag-
Catherine McManaman.
Thank
Sorry.
you. What about Sigfredo Garcia? Did you ever have an occasion to meet him?
I did not. I've never met him.
Was Ms. Adelson very close to her parents and her brother Charlie?
Extremely close.
I want to ask you about June 4th, 2014. Do you recall a event that occurred that day that was unusual?
Yeah, I remember a couple of unusual occurrences on June 4th.
Could you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, I had met Ms. Adelson at the Red Eye Coffee Shop in Midtown for a coffee about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We were going to talk about our relationship a little bit. And she canceled a trip we had planned to California to visit my parents, which was scheduled for July 11th to 17th.
All right. And was she acting strangely that night?
Yeah, that night, she was a nervous wreck, to the point, I couldn't put my finger on why at the time, to the point where she lived kind of way up Centerville, and there was no convenience stores or anything close. And I actually took about 35 minutes and drove to a convenience store to get her Pepto-Bismol because she was such a nervous wreck and had a real nervous stomach that evening.
Okay. And did she ever tell you what the problem was?
No, she's very non-specific about it.
All right. Were you aware during the course of your relationship with Ms. Adelson about her efforts to relocate to South Florida with the children?
I certainly was.
All right. And were you in her life when she learned that the court was not going to permit her to take
No,
the
our
children
first
to
date
South
was
Florida?
September 27th,
Mhm.
2013. So that was a topic of conversation on our first couple of dates, but it was in the past when we discussed it.
All right. And was Ms. Adelson happy about the fact that she was not able to relocate?
No, she was quite bitter about it, actually. It was, as I said, a topic that came up, that tone came up on those first 2 dates.
All right. Did she make any statements to you in reference to her brother considering options to take care of this problem with her not being able to relocate?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Hey, for those of y'all that live in Tallahassee, is this the Red Eye Coffee? I thought it had changed names, but it's still on there as Red Eye Coffee. True Crime Wifey, I know you're in Tallahassee. So I'm curious, is this the place? And tell us, have you been there? Also, John Smith says, I think True Crime Wifey's theory that Harvey was staying with Wendy and Tally at the time makes a lot of sense. I do too. I think it makes a lot of sense. And y'all need to go and watch True Crime Wifey. Somebody put a link to her channel, if you don't mind, please. And that live that she did recently where she explains why she thinks that. Because would Wendy really be alone that week leading up to the hit? It all kind of makes sense. But just curious about the Red Eye Coffee.
All right, Mr. LaCasse, when we broke, we were talking about statements made to you by Wendy Adelson about her brother considering options to take care of her relocation problem. What, if any, statements did she tell you to that effect?
Yes, ma'am. On July 13th, 2014, Wendy and I were speaking, and she asked me if she could share something with me confidentially. I told her sure. She mentioned, or she said that Charlie had explored all options to take care of the problem, and that he had looked into having Professor Markel killed. It would cost about $15,000. I later talked to investigator Ice and said that could have been $50,000. They sound an awful lot alike.
Okay, so you're not sure if she said 15 or 50.
That's right, but I'm confident she made that statement. I just can't remember the exact dollar amount. And she did state that was during the relocation battle the previous summer is when that had taken place.
All right. And the day that she made the statement to you was July 13th of 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Mrs. Adelson tell you anything about the celebration dinner? Anything about a celebration dinner?
Yes.
Could you tell us about that, please?
Yes. A couple weeks after Professor Markel was murdered, we spoke on the phone, and she had mentioned that her and Charlie had gone to, these are her words, she said, Charlie and I went to what he described as a celebration dinner.
All right. And that was the dinner where she vomited?
That's right. That's correct.
And are you aware, Mr. LaCasse, that Ms. Adelson suggested you as a possible suspect in this homicide?
Yes, I am.
And where were you when Dan Markel was murdered?
I was on the road to Tennessee. I originally had a trip planned for 11 a.m. on Friday the 18th, and I had, at the last moment, changed my trip to Thursday night. So
So you left early.
I left early without telling anyone other than the people at the destination. Miss Adelson was the only person I had told in Tallahassee about the time that I was leaving, which was 11 a.m. on the 18th. I had informed her about that in around June 10th.
All right, so originally it was going to be July 18th at 11 a.m. would be your departure.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you be flying or driving?
I was driving.
All right, and it changed to Thursday night, so you left the night before and were in Tennessee at the time of the homicide?
That's correct.
Hey, so I want to go back real quickly to the Yardbird. So I found this photo online. This is the one in Miami, South Beach. But see to the right, that's the patio. And they have these big shrubs in these boxes. Now, I don't know if this picture's from 2014, obviously. Seems like it would be pretty hard. So supposedly Sigfredo and Luis were in a car watching them. I don't really know how you would see them. I had not looked this up until now. I just thought that was interesting.
No further questions.
Cross.
Still morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Pronounce your last name for me again.
LaCasse.
LaCasse. Okay. Just want to make sure I got it right. Mr. LaCasse. So Wendy Adelson knew you were leaving.
Okay, this is Sigfredo's attorney. Oh my God. Why am I blanking on his name? But I did email him a couple weeks ago. He was very nice. He wrote back, but he said he doesn't do interviews because he gets requests for tons. But that guy, he had it all pegged. He's seen a lot of discovery, and he said, I think, quote, the Adelsons should be shaking in their boots. This was right after Sigfredo's conviction. But thank you, Carrie. You said, great job keeping Dan's memory alive as Wendy's worst nightmare. I think that's a lot of the reason I'm drawn to this case. One, I'm a boy mom, as you would say, but I feel so bad for those boys. And then the more I rewatch this stuff, and I keep hearing Jeff in his interview says how close he was to Ben. And I just really heard that for the first time. I've watched that interview so many times. Ben is the oldest. And I just started thinking about, I mean, he was about to turn 5, right? It was just like his dad was killed a couple weeks before his birthday. I mean, 5 years old, that's not an infant. So his dad was taken from him. His grandparents were taken from him. Jeff was taken from him. And then he was taken from Tallahassee to Miami within, 72 hours or less. And then I guess he settles in or whatever with his grandparents there. And then he was really close to his Uncle Charlie. I mean, he doesn't know Charlie's a bad dude. Charlie gets arrested and goes to jail. When we hear on the jail calls, Charlie's like, Ben hasn't written me lately. That kid has had so much taken from him. It just all blows me away when I think about it, that they thought this was a good idea. And then, of course, we've all read Wendy's email with Donna about, oh, yeah, I told the boys, your dad's in a box under the dirt in Canada. That's some cold-hearted stuff.
Well, you told her you were leaving Friday morning.
Friday morning at 11, we had discussed it because we had some plans that got canceled. So we had discussed it in some detail, actually.
And your plan was to leave Tallahassee and to drive northbound.
Thomasville Road, eastbound. Yes, sir.
Sure. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So your plan was to travel north of Tallahassee.
I'm sorry. I hate to be one of those people that pauses it. Interesting true crime wifey. You said Tara refers to Sigfredo's deposition that is sealed, and it's still sealed. How long can stuff be sealed?
to Tennessee, correct?
That's correct.
And you told Wendy that, hey, listen, I'm going on this trip and I'm leaving Friday morning around 11 a.m., correct?
That's correct.
And do you recall what time the actual shooting took place?
I believe it was right around 11 a.m.
The same exact time that you'd be leaving the area?
That's correct.
And although it was for a business trip, if people didn't know what your plan,
Denali, I am very disappointed to hear you read this. Like, I was having faith that I was keeping you informed on this case because you're new. Jeff LaCasse is the jealous ex that can never get over you. I think we all know at least one person. I think Jeff is a total softie, right? He's a social worker. He's in academia and he wanted to see the good. And I have to think Wendy was probably the best looking woman he'd had, is my guess. But he grew close to those boys. I mean, I do think it's crazy that he knew how much she was cheating and he stayed with her. But I would not say he has no credibility. I think he's very credible. I think a lot of people newer to the case think that, like after Donna's trial. But if you really watch everything and you hear what he says, he has a lot of good insight.
were, would you agree with me that it may look like you're leaving the scene if you're traveling outside of the jurisdiction?
That's what I was concerned about, that if I had taken my trip at the scheduled time, I would have looked like I was fleeing because I would have been driving, I would have taken Capitol Circle to Thomasville and been very close to Professor Markel's house, actually.
And when did you find out that Ms. Adelson, Wendy Adelson, had suggested that you may be involved in this?
I suspected it from the police interrogations, but they didn't explicitly say that. Eventually, I was able to view her interrogation video.
And by her, you mean Wendy Adelson?
Yes, sir.
And by interrogation video, you mean interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because as you're aware, she has not been charged in this case, correct?
I'm aware of that. Yes, sir.
And obviously you haven't either.
Right.
Right. You've been cleared by law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about your relationship with Wendy Adelson. You started dating her, give me a time period.
September 27th, 2013 was our first date.
And how long would you say that your relationship with her lasted?
Well, there was different phases of it. In that fall semester, we weren't exclusive. It was more casual.
Okay, so this attorney is Saam Saam Zangana. My question is, what happened to that attorney? I think his last name was Lewis, Lewis, that we heard on the wiretaps with Katie. And he's like, look, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm Sigfredo's attorney. Why did they get rid of him and hire this guy? Does anybody know?
It became more serious late February, early March. So as far as a serious, I'm your boyfriend, you're my girlfriend sort of thing, just March through July.
Okay. So you started casually dating in September of 2013 and it got more serious at the beginning of 2014, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And how did you meet Miss Adelson? How did you guys first have a date?
Yeah, through mutual friends.
Okay, so it wasn't like on a social media dating app or anything else?
No.
Okay. Were you aware if Miss Adelson was?
Denali, I'm going to make it my goal to change your opinion of Jeff. I'm telling you, this guy, he's a good guy. I get it. Like, it's embarrassing how much he was just run over by Wendy. But we're looking at it through a lens of many, many years of evaluating all this. I do believe him. And he is still in Tallahassee. He is still a professor at Florida State. That took some guts. I mean, most people would be like, ugh, I'm getting out of here. And Elisa, thank you. I'm happy that you're here. And I hope I get to meet you at CrimeCon.
Participating in online dating?
I think I knew that she had dated online in the past. I did not know the time frame.
One of your concerns, okay, so once you guys became exclusive, and by exclusive, I mean you called her your girlfriend and she called you her boyfriend, is that fair?
That's correct. And I was involved with the kids at that point and things like that.
And it got to the point where she introduced you to her family, right?
That's right.
And you indicated that there was a dinner where you met Charlie Adelson?
That's right.
Kind of a good-looking guy, right?
Sure.
Right. Works out.
Yes.
When you went on, when you had your double date, where it was you, Wendy Adelson, Charlie, and Miss Magbanua, did you see what kind of car Mr. Adelson pulled in?
I don't recall seeing his car in the parking lot. We then went to his house, so I saw his garage and got a look at some of the vehicles he owned, but not that at dinner.
What kind of vehicles does he have?
Ferrari is the one that stood out to me.
Do you remember the color of the Ferrari?
I don't.
Did you make any comments to Wendy about the Ferrari?
Well, Wendy used to talk about Charlie having a Ferrari. I mean,
Oh.
that was,
Oh, I love that. Wendy used to talk about Charlie having a Ferrari because if y'all remember, I think it was this trial, she testifies. Oh, I don't know. I'm not a car person. I drive a minivan. I mean, he has an old police car because she's trying to look like she's just so, you know, typical, but she's not. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. But Denali, we need to change your mind on Jeff. He is the key. I'm telling you, he is a big key.
um, she would say, my brother's a character. He has a Ferrari. He has an undercover cop car. He has I think a nice Benz in addition or some luxury car.
So she knew what a Ferrari was, right?
Sure. Well, sure.
So it's not like she didn't say he's got a Porsche and you saw a Ferrari, right?
No, it was a Ferrari. And I actually remember discussing the cost of maintenance with Charlie. There were some downsides to having a Ferrari.
Yeah.
So,
That's tough. Tough. So pretty extensive car collection, right?
but he had multiple cars. Yeah. I don't know exactly how many.
And did you learn what he did for a living?
Yeah, I knew he was a periodontist from speaking with Wendy.
And how many, was that the only night you had direct contact with Mr. Adelson, Charlie Adelson?
That's the only contact I ever had with him that night.
Did he appear to have, did he appear to be intelligent?
He had, that's a difficult question. I just met him the one night. That's a big judgment.
I'll withdraw that. Let me ask a more important question. Was he socialized? Was he drinking that night?
I don't recall if he was drinking. He was holding forth. He was talking a lot. He was confident. That was my impression of him.
He was talking a lot?
Yes.
Did you ever see him go to the bathroom?
Blue River, totally agree. Jeff is a victim. He was played. Wendy hand-picked him for a softie, a guy she could run all over, cheat, do all these things with. He is a victim. I know you say he's bitter, but he does say in his police interview early on, like, wow, this is awkward. I mean, there could be a 1% chance I could get back together with her. But then he has clarity. I mean, you've got to go back and look at his March 2015 interview. And now he probably is a little pissed. I'd be pissed too. She's pretty much ruined his life. So ever since all this went down, now he has to question every woman that wants to date him. Like, are they just wanting information about this case? Are they genuinely interested in me? He's probably got a lot of trust issues. I mean, this guy was like about to be set up for murder had he not had the reason to leave and go to Tennessee. So I'm just going to have to disagree. I appreciate you speaking your opinion though and being respectful about it, but I would encourage you to do more research on him.
I don't recall.
Did you ever see him, was he perspiring more than a normal person would during dinner?
This is 5 years ago. I don't remember. We were outside and it was, not cool that time of year, but yeah.
Okay, so you're outside in like an open area restaurant?
Yeah, we were at the Yardbird on the patio.
Okay, the Yardbird in South Beach?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to pull that up again. The Yardbird on South Beach. So there it is. There's the little patio over there on the right, but it's got a big hedge around it. So if you're sitting at a table, I mean, you might see the top of somebody's head. Interesting. Has anybody been there? The only Yardbird I've seen is in Vegas, I think at the Venetian. but I didn't eat there.
Did you witness Charlie Adelson doing cocaine that night?
I did not. Did not.
So this is a guy who's in South Beach, right? Drives a Ferrari, right?
Yes,
What had Wendy previously described him as having a lot of girlfriends?
sure.
Handsome guy, probably could get attention of women.
I would presume so.
But your only face-to-face meeting was that dinner, correct?
Well, that dinner, and then we went back to his house and hung out in his hot tub for a little while, but that was it.
Denali, that is proof right there. Why would he be making this up? I mean, he just admitted to being in a hot tub with Charlie Adelson. Okay. Hey, September Dawn. Happy you're here from Houston.
And during that time that you went to his house to hang up in the hot tub, did you see him ever go to the bathroom, or was he ever outside of your personal space?
Yeah, I think all of us were in and out of that hot tub at various points because we were sitting there a little while.
At any point did Charlie Adelson? Now, look, you're a law professor, correct?
Professor of social work, actually.
Correct. Okay. I'm sorry. You're a professor at the university, correct? I apologize, not law professor.
Yeah.
You're an educated person, correct?
Sure.
You'll agree with me that a layperson wouldn't solicit you to commit a murder, correct?
Objection. Argumentative.
So, Denali, you said who shares something after they promise confidentiality? Jeffrey. Yeah, when you're in a murder trial, sure. Yeah, you do share things. I mean, somebody's life was taken. He also, being PhD, social work, antidepressants, all these things, he knew Wendy was basically weaning or quitting these SSRIs, antidepressants. He was worried. And a lot of the reason he stayed there was because he was concerned about the boys. So I just don't think you're giving him a fair shot.
Sustained.
I'll re-ask this. Did Charlie Adelson ask you to kill Dan Markel?
Did Charlie ask me to?
Did he
kill him?
ask you?
No.
Of course not. And
Mr.
I apologize. I'll withdraw the of course not. And you'll agree with me that at no point did you give him any reason to believe that you would be someone that would do such a nefarious act, correct?
No.
When the prosecutor asked you about June 4th, 2014, you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you guys were at the Red Eye Coffee Shop, right?
That's correct.
And around what time was that?
I had a hair appointment at 2 or 3, so it was at 1 or 2.
And so in the early afternoon,
Could have been as early as 12:30, sir. I mean,
12:30.
Yeah.
Okay. So around 12:30 on June 4th, 2014, correct?
that's correct.
You indicated that she was and by she I mean Wendy Adelson, that she was acting unusual.
That's
Would
correct.
that be a fair assessment?
Yes.
Did you ask her what was wrong?
I did ask her what was wrong. It was very non-specific. That happened with Wendy quite a bit with it, where she was upset and there was not an exact name put to why.
Was she upset often?
Yes.
So Denali, you also have to remember Jeff was newly divorced, so was Wendy. You know, she was fragile. And he's like thinking, hey, I've got this really good looking girl, in his opinion, not mine. But I do think he looks back on it and thinks, what a fool. And here I am, humiliated before all these people. Andrew, Donna Sue did drop off money at Charlie, but didn't Charlie drive her to Tally since Harvey was already there? Good question. Definitely watch True Crime Wifey's live. So I believe what her theory is that Donna dropped off the money to Charlie. Charlie never went to Tallahassee. Then Donna was driving to Tallahassee alone, and she stopped in Orlando because she didn't have Harvey to share driving duties with. So I think the theory is Harvey was already in Tally, and she was driving alone.
Would she get these kind of physical reactions often, that her stomach would hurt or that she would ask you to get her medicine?
I got to know her better in the spring, so I saw more of it than I would have in the fall. That was the only time I can recall that That was not an average thing. I think that's why I remember it, because it was unusual.
And you said that you drove about 35 minutes to get her medicine?
Yeah, it could have been 25, 35 minutes, but it's where she lived was not convenient to run to the store. So it was a discussion like, do we want to do that? It's all the way down there. And she was so nervous. I thought, no, I'm going. So
Did she go with you?
no, she did not. She had the kids that night. So she stayed with the children.
Did she make any kind of doctor's appointments shortly thereafter? To your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, you indicated that you guys became boyfriend and girlfriend at the beginning portion of 2014. Is that a correct statement, sir?
Yes, sir.
And when would you tell the members of this jury that your relationship with her ended?
Well, that's a little complicated. On July 14th, we went on a date. And when I got home, she had sent me an email saying, I need a week to think. Please don't contact me for the next week. And so that was the Monday before Professor Markel was killed. And then we didn't talk for maybe 10 or 12 days after the murder. So I assumed it was internally, I assumed it was over, that night. When you get an email like that, you're probably figuring it's over. But in subsequent phone calls, she acted as if it was still a slightly open issue. And we closed that down by phone calls that, obviously we're going to move on here.
Did you ever question her loyalty to you in your relationship with her?
With regularity, yes.
And when you say with regularity, when did you first become suspicious? Now, let me ask this question first.
All right, I pulled up another picture of Yardbird. It's kind of dark. So, kind of looks like an old building that's been renovated. Got it on the screen. Kind of looks like an old car garage, like where you go for tires or something. But to the right there is the patio, but it's got these hedges. I know John Smith, he said to do a Google overview. I mean, I could figure it out, but I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
You were concerned that she was seeing other men, right?
I was.
Okay. And when did you first start getting this concern?
Probably March, April timeframe, I started to wonder. So not too long after we became a couple, I guess what I was wondering is, have we really become a couple, or is she still doing what she was doing before?
Was it did you find text messages or direct messages on social media that made you kind of go, what's going on here?
No, I didn't see any text messages or anything on social media. Her behavior was just erratic. She would disappear. She would get home very late at night. So there were signs like that.
Would you talk to her about it?
I tried to.
Okay. So let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
Did she understand that you were concerned about her being loyal to you, or your relationship being a monogamous one?
To be completely honest, I think we kind of pussyfooted around that until we had that big fight at the end of June. That's what that.
Holly Marie, thanks for asking. Did anyone post the link that I recommended? I just posted it. So it's the link to the live where True Crime Wifey explains her theory about Harvey being with Wendy. It's a really good one.
That's what that argument was about.
Let's talk about that big fight.
Yeah, sure.
Why don't you walk the members of the jury through what happened?
Yeah, I had taken Wendy to Gainesville with me. I was teaching in the off-campus program at UF for the weekend, so I took her with me.
I'm sorry, was it just you and her, or did she bring the kids?
No, it's just me and her.
So a romantic getaway to Gainesville?
Well, work/pleasure. I teach during the day. She works in a coffee shop. We have dinner with friends at night, that kind of stuff. It's a nice area down
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And weekend started off fine. The Saturday night, we sort of got into it over this stuff. I confronted her about the fact that I suspected that she had been seeing other men.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you're at dinner?
We were actually up in the hotel room. The night was basically over. It was pretty late. It was 9 or 10 o'clock at night when this discussion happened.
Okay. And had she had any alcoholic beverages at that point?
We both had, but I think just 1 or 2 glasses of wine a couple hours earlier.
Just socially with dinner, maybe?
Yeah, that was,
Okay.
there was no more drinking than that.
And did you say, listen, I think this, that, or the other? Did you have any specifics, or were you just giving a vague, I'm concerned about where this relationship is?
The latter, I was pretty specific. I told her I was very concerned. I was particularly concerned because the way she had framed our relationship was, you're not just becoming my boyfriend. I have children. I'm a mother. It's like I was auditioning for the job of husband and father is actually sort of how it felt in retrospect. So I bonded with the kids pretty tightly. And as you can imagine in a relationship, that kind of discussion gets more complicated when you're serious and there's kids. And she had been talking about me moving in. She had told me not to buy a house. She had told me not to buy a Jeep, that I needed to buy a vehicle that 2 car seats could fit in. So
So it sounds like
So I hope Denali is still listening. Did you hear that? Wendy was playing him, told him not to buy a Jeep. He needs to buy a car that 2 car seats will fit in. She also wanted the boys to start calling him dad. She wanted to give him all the passwords and everything to her accounts. He was played. I know it looks so obvious to us now, but you got to remember when you're like in it. I agree. It's sad for a 40-something-year-old man at the time, but I feel really bad for him.
you guys were heading down that path.
yeah, hence why I raised the issue, because I had some intuitions that everything wasn't quite right. Her behavior had been a little erratic, and I was worried about moving in and ending up in a really bad situation, actually.
So would it be fair to say that she was saying the wrong things, but her actions were speaking louder than her words?
That's not a bad summary. I was getting 2 very different messages based on behavior or what she was speaking to me, what she was saying. Yeah.
Did that argument or that discussion, did you feel it the next morning?
What do you mean by feel it, sir?
Was she acting any different the following morning?
Oh, the next day was probably the most awkward car ride I've ever had in my life. We rode from Gainesville to Tallahassee. She was crying. I was very upset. It was a very awkward 3-hour drive.
It's a 3-hour drive from,
3 or 4, however long it is to.
okay, from Gainesville to Tallahassee, however long that was.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
And this was in June, you said June 20?
That would have been June 29th. That's the Sunday, the last Sunday in June.
2 weeks later, on July 13th, Wendy tells you, or Wendy has this discussion with you that the prosecutor elicited, right?
Yes.
From June 29th to July 13th, would you say your relationship with Wendy after that awkward, that long 2 or 3 hour, 4 hour, however long it is, from Gainesville to Tallahassee, emotional car ride, right?
Yes.
She's crying,
Yes.
upset.
Yes.
And I would assume, well, let me strike this. Did you believe that she was upset? Because like I said, she was saying all the right things, but she wasn't acting like she was talking.
It's very complicated, and she was all over the place, to be frank, in that at one point she was confessing. At one point she was saying, I never did that. She was saying she couldn't remember some things I wanted to talk about, which was frustrating. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No worries. You said she was confessing. Was she admitting to potential talking to other men?
More than talking the night before when we were having the argument, but it was,
What was she saying?
it was a heated discussion, so I don't remember every word of it. But at points she kind of let it slip out that my concerns were well-founded.
Okay.
And then 5 minutes later, she would say the opposite. And when I've had to explain the story in the past, I've had to say it doesn't sound like it makes sense because she was just all over the place. She was hysterical. Really.
Okay. So would it be fair to say at some point she admits to talking to other dudes, to talking to other men, and then shortly thereafter denies what she just confessed to?
Well, then that repeat as needed on the car ride back, she was like, I never did any of that stuff you taught. I don't know what you're talking about, which was kind of crazy.
See, that was interesting. So Jeff just said, I mean, yeah, you say all this and people are like, yeah, you're crazy. That doesn't make sense because Wendy was all over the place. And Hope, great point. Hope says, and we have to remember A, she tried to frame him. B, he's literally being questioned, so he has to regard it. We don't know what he dwells on in her outside of trial when he's being asked. So true. So true. And Jack and the Force, I agree. You said ever since the Nancy Guthrie saga, Wendy is the happiest person on earth. She's no longer top dog on the radar. Most eyes are on Nancy. Oh, I completely agree. That's why I exited that stage from the Nancy Guthrie thing because there's plenty of other people covering it, and we're going to stick to this.
Making for me because she had confessed to some of it the night before.
Okay. So from June 29th till July 13th, would you say you were fixing the relationship at that point? Was it getting better or was it getting worse?
It's hard to tell because on the 29th, I left her house and I didn't see her again until July 13th. She went to South Florida for those 2 weeks.
Did you guys talk on the phone?
We talked on the phone once in a while. We did some video chats. I talked to the kids via video chat and things like that. But it was very up in the air where the relationship was going to go. I would get a mixture of messages, verbally and by text.
Would you agree with me that your level of contact with her between June 29th and July 14th was less than it was before?
Oh, it was minimal. It was minimal. Days and days would go by at points without us talking on the phone at least. I may get the random text or something, but we weren't talking a lot.
And then on July 13th,
Denali, I know people are probably like, why are you giving him screen time or her? You hope you're wrong on Jeff. You are. And I know you've mentioned in past chats that you're newer to the case. And I will tell you, if I had never seen Jeff and just seen his testimony in Donna's trial, I probably would have kind of felt the way you did. But I want you to kind of remove yourself from that, watch his interviews, and then start at this testimony and then go forward. His life has been literally turned upside down. And yeah, I agree. When Donna is called about that Dan's been shot by Wendy, hey mom, how's it going? You don't hear her shower. She's like, oh, dad's in the shower. Was he?
Wendy, in essence, tells you that her brother, Charlie, had looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel.
In 2013, yes, sir.
In 2013.
Yes.
What was your reaction to this?
It was in the context of a relationship discussion. It kind of just blurted out when he has a habit of blurting things out that are kind of tangential or whatever. And so I didn't know what to make of it. My stomach kind of flipped. It was like a chilling statement. And then we kind of ended up talking about the relationship again. And so I didn't give it a lot of thought at the time. It was just like a crazy thing that someone would say,
Okay. Very crazy thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Did you take that statement as a threat to you? And let me kind of clarify this. She indicated that because of her bad relationship with Mr. Markel, correct? And you'll agree with me that they had a bad relationship, correct?
That's how she characterized it.
You'll agree with me that she said, based on a bad relationship, that her brother had looked into hiring somebody to kill him, correct?
Well, that was specifically about the relocation, is
Okay.
what she said in that statement. I know they had bad blood otherwise for other reasons, certainly, but that was specifically tied to the relocation battle being lost. That was what prompted Charlie to look into it, according to her.
See, Jeff is also very consistent in his testimony. Miriam, excellent. I love this. So September 27th, 2013 was Wendy's and Jeff's first date, 1 month before the infamous Halloween text photo call. That's when Charlie sent Wendy a picture of him and Katie. And it canceled the purchase of the home. So Wendy was going to buy that home. It was October 31st. I think they were trying to find the right Patsy, and Wendy found hers first. I agree.
This conversation that you had on July 13th, where was it?
It was in her house on Aqua Ridge.
Was anybody else around when she made the statement?
No, sir.
Did you contact any of your friends after this conversation and discuss the fact that Wendy Adelson had indicated that her brother had looked to hire a hitman?
In what time frame?
Okay, so on July 13th, when the conversation's over, do you stay there that night?
No,
You left.
we ended with me telling Wendy, if you, this isn't gonna work for you, you can text me and we can just break up. I don't want a big thing, like confrontation. And I left for the night. I did not stay.
Do you have like a family member or a best friend that you talk to about personal issues?
I have several, sure.
Okay. Did you call or contact any of them on the way back to discuss what had transpired about? And I'm not talking about the breakup,
Yeah, yeah.
okay? I'm sorry. I am talking about the breakup.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Did you call your friends and go, hey, listen, it ended with me and Wendy?
It's summertime and at FSU, a lot of these people were out of town. Some of them were even overseas. So there was less contact than there ordinarily would have been. But I'm sure I discussed the fact, well, not that night because it was so late. What I remember is the next day when I get this email saying, don't contact me for a week, I certainly shared that with friends because I found it really frustrating and surprising and thought it was weird.
Did you share with any of your friends the comment that Wendy Adelson made to you with regards to her brother and the murder for hire?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I just couldn't tell you who or when I did that, but certainly after the murder occurred, certainly I shared that with people. I also shared it with the police the first day they brought me in.
Right. So you were interviewed by law enforcement in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
During your interview with law enforcement, did you mention this statement?
I did.
Okay. Did you tell it was Detective Isom that interviewed
It
you?
was him and Investigator Hale.
Okay. Did you indicate to them who you had shared this information with?
I don't know that I was asked to.
Hearsay.
So that brings up something else, what he just, so it was investigator Isom and Hale or detectives, whatever, who interviewed him. They didn't do him any favors either. YBOGAMC asks, what do you think's taking so long to arrest Wendy? Love your channel. Thanks for keeping Dan's memory alive. I think it's the involvement of the FBI, and the FBI does everything on their own timeline. I mean, look at the FBI and the Nancy Guthrie case. They're totally not aligned with the sheriff. I'm not saying they should be. I'm just saying they're totally different. So yes, this will be prosecuted by the state of Florida, but I think it's a lot in the hands of the FBI, in my opinion.
Judge, it's not for the.
Overruled.
Can you restate the question?
No worries. So when you tell them what Wendy told you about her brother's murder for hire plot, did you say, yeah, listen, I spoke to my buddy, because the murder happened on the 18th, correct?
That's correct.
And so 4 days prior to that is when you got that breakup. Was it an email or a text message?
It was an email.
Okay, so you get a breakup email. And so you call your friends, which is normal, right? And you indicated just a few minutes ago that you probably mentioned the murder for hire to some of your friends, right?
At some point, I just don't know when.
Okay. What about, was that before or after your interview with law enforcement?
Was what before or after?
Your discussions with friends.
Well, after I had told it to the police, I certainly did.
T. Kinsella, he was holding fort. I guess you mean Charlie staying back in South Florida. Yeah, now he's holding the fort in prison. Yeah, exactly. Heather, thank you. Skier, Jeff is very believable. The celebratory dinner Charlie had with Wendy was corroborated by Charlie. Why would Jeff make that up? Exactly. Andrew says, I believe they're waiting for Charlie to be denied any trial so he can come testify at Wendy's trial. Yeah, I just don't think it's involved in that. I think it's bigger. I don't think Charlie's going to testify in Wendy's trial unless all his appeals are exhausted, and y'all, that'll be years.
Discussed it. I'm confident. I may have done it before as well. I don't recall that. But after I told the police that, I did share that with some people confidentially. Yes.
Now, she told you, and by she, I'm referring to Wendy Adelson, during your July 13th conversation, that he had looked and the price was either 15 or 50,000, correct?
That's correct.
So it's either one or the other, correct?
Right.
And would it be fair to say, based on your testimony, that she said that that price was too high?
No, she didn't offer any further context or explanation. It was kind of a thing that was blurted out. And then literally 20 seconds later, she started talking about something else, and I can't recall what that was. I think it was the relationship stuff that I was very focused on.
So out of nowhere, she tells you Charlie was going to go look to hire a hitman. It was going to cost $15,000 or $50,000, and you don't go back to that.
I don't know that it was out of nowhere. I believe preceding that was a discussion that if anything ever happened to Danny, she would move to Miami. I think I've spoken to the investigator. I asked him about that previously.
And listen, I have to ask Mr. LaCasse, at no point did you contact law enforcement after you heard of this threat so they could contact Mr. Markel to see if there's any need to protect him in any way, shape, or form?
I didn't.
Give me 1 second, Your Honor. Good night. Just a few more questions, sir.
Sure.
Would I be correct or incorrect in assuming or in saying that you were interested in having a monogamous relationship with Wendy Adelson?
I thought I had a monogamous relationship with
And you wanted to keep it, correct?
Depends when you're asking.
On July 13th, 2014?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm sorry to ask such personal questions. I know it's difficult. Did you think it's unusual? Well, let me ask this. At some point, did you ever see a picture of Dan Markel?
Sure.
Do you think that there's a resemblance between yourself and him?
Everybody always says that. When I was dating her, no one ever brought it up. I see it from the pictures. In real life, I was never told that while we were dating.
And as you indicated before, you're also a professor?
Yes, correct.
Do you feel wronged by Wendy Adelson?
Do I feel wronged?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No further questions.
Hey, Ben.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So that's the board.
Good morning.
The questions I'm about to ask you are about the investigation into you, not that we believe you're a suspect, okay?
I understand.
Okay, so this is Chris DeCoste. So he and Tara Kawas were Katie's attorneys. So Chris is doing the cross in this 2019 trial, and then in Katie's retrial in 2022, Tara does it.
You would agree with me at the beginning of the case in July 2014, there was a thought that you were a potential suspect.
That's what I've been told, yes.
You were contacted by the police.
I was.
You came in, you were interviewed.
Yes, I came straight from my trip into the GPD station.
3 separate times you were interviewed, right?
Yes.
Now, they didn't handcuff you at gunpoint and drag you into the station, right?
No, they asked me to come in, so I came in.
Voluntarily went in.
Yes.
You told them what you knew. You explained the information, right?
Yes.
Eventually, you helped them get bank records to show where you were. It was in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, I believe it was cell phone records and a receipt from a Kmart that had surveillance video of me, was my understanding of it.
So they get your bank records. They see a transaction at a Walmart, right?
Yeah, credit card records. Yes, sir.
There's then a receipt.
Mhm.
And then they go actually to the Walmart, get their surveillance footage that shows you there.
Yeah, it was a Kmart, but yes, sir.
And then you were cleared.
That's correct.
You would agree with me that they objectively investigated you.
Yes.
Now, had they not gotten the bank records, the Walmart video, or anything like that, one could paint a picture that you were involved. Just the fact that you left town right when the murder happened and you had this connection.
Well, except that I wasn't in the state at the time of the murder, so how could I have done it? So that's
What we're talking about here is that somebody could paint the picture
okay.
without all the evidence.
Yeah, if they don't have all the evidence, sure.
Let's go to something you said on direct talking about June 4th.
Yes,
And you appear to have a very good memory of all the instances. You said that Wendy had the kids on June 4th, the night of June 4th.
yes.
You spent a lot of time with Wendy, spent a lot of time with the kids. You knew their daily schedule of the boys, right?
I knew not so much because I usually got there in the evening. So at the time, I would know what day she had the kids. But as far as pickup times and things,
Y'all, I mean, Wendy was using him as a babysitter. I mean, the poor guy was like putting the kids for naps. He was mopping floors. It is sad how much she basically abused him. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. 1 minute she loves him, the next minute she's disappearing for a week. Yep. Thanks, Leslie Gillespie. I'm so glad you're staying on this case. I want her arrested. I hear you. I know. We gotta have the faith, y'all. I posted a short video today about Allison Galvani, and her dad Pat was arrested after the murder of her mother in 1982. He was arrested in November of 2025. So how many years is that? 25 plus 18, 43 years.
like that, I usually saw them at the end of the day. I accompanied her just a couple times to pick up the kids. So I don't want to sound like I'm an expert in that because I'm not.
So June 4th, she has the kids. The next morning, June 5th, she would have taken them to creative preschool.
She would have, but I never stayed over there. So when the kids were there, so I wouldn't have known that because I left at the end of the night if the kids were there every time.
That would have been consistent with the custody setup that she had with Dan Markel, correct?
Yeah, depending on what the days on the schedule were, which I don't recall. I used to know that. I don't anymore.
It wouldn't have been that he'd come and pick them up at her house and then bring them over to creative
I
preschool.
never saw that kind of scheduling anywhere.
So it would have been consistent with on June 5th, she would have dropped the kids off.
It would have been consistent if I don't have any primary knowledge of what she did on June 5th.
Let's talk about Charles Adelson. Understanding that you didn't have a close relationship with him, you did meet him and you hung out with him.
Yeah, for a few hours.
To you, and I'm going to use your words, he seemed like somebody that hung out on both sides of the tracks, right?
That's the way he presented himself in that hot tub. Yes.
I mean, y'all, can you just imagine going to dinner at Yardbird and then they went down the street and got frozen yogurt and then they go back to Charlie's house and get in a hot tub for 2 hours and he talks about anally violating women? No thanks. Fletcher boy, hello neighbor. Am I going to follow the Corey Richins trial? Yes, and it starts next week. So I'm not going to be able to live stream it because, I have unfortunately a real job, but I'm going to be doing daily summaries, and Corey Richins is on trial for the murder of her husband with an overdose of illicit fentanyl in a Moscow mule. And she wrote a book. A lot of Wendy Adelson similarities. So yeah, I'm going to do some daily summaries.
And you took that to be accurate.
Yes, I took a self-presentation to be accurate. That's correct.
During the day, he's wearing a lab coat or scrubs, whatever dentists wear, right?
Right.
And then when he's off work, he's going out, he's hanging out at the gym with less savory people.
Yeah, that was sort of his characterization. I was sort of repeating what he said. Yeah.
In your words, less savory
Well, not
individuals.
less savory, gritty. I don't remember his exact words, but gritty, something like that. I don't remember his exact words, but yeah, that's how he presented himself in that hot tub. It seemed to be almost a braggadocio kind of thing, like, look at me, I'm on both sides. Yeah.
And you took him to be a street smart guy.
I did.
He had friends that were ex-special ops.
Yes, that's what he said. Yeah, that's what him and Wendy said. Yeah.
His gym friends that to you almost came off as nefarious.
Well, yeah, and I don't remember the details at this point, but he was talking about deals they were doing. There was a lot of hinting and innuendo. But yeah, you're accurately presenting how he presented to me.
Let's go now to the dinner on March 11, 2014.
Sure.
It was outside, it was on Miami Beach.
Yeah.
If you remember, and you may not, do you remember seeing a pickup truck with two gentlemen outside of the restaurant watching you guys?
No.
Let's go now to July 14th, 2014.
Okay.
Now, you had met Catherine McBanwa several months prior to that.
Yeah, I met her in March.
So March, April, May, June, July. Wendy is opening up to you and saying what her brother had looked into doing, right?
I think you're talking about the 14th. You're talking about the 13th, I think.
July 13th?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So July 13, 2014, she's talking about her brother hiring a hitman. She's giving you incriminating details, right?
Yes.
Never said anything about the involvement of Catherine McBanwa, right?
No, it was 3 sentences, so no, she didn't.
All right, let's talk about now the options that he looked into doing to take care of the problem, right?
Right.
Top Cat, I can totally agree. George or Jorge is also being played right now. We shouldn't forget that. He will be damaged too. Mm-hmm.
On direct examination, the state attorney's office asked you what year it was. But there was more specifics to that. It was specifically the summer of 2013, right?
Yes, it was attached to the relocation, so whenever, it was after relocation had failed, where she'd been denied the motion for relocation.
But I want to make sure it's clear because we didn't have the full information from
Yeah.
direct examination. What Wendy told you is that her brother looked into hiring a hitman in the summer of 2013.
That's correct.
And that would have been before he even knew Catherine McBanwa.
Yeah, I don't know when they met, but if you say so.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Blue River, you crack me up. Maybe Wendy loves his chorizo. That's about it. As a person who loves queso fundido, that's funny.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Redirect.
Mr. LaCasse.
Yes, Your Honor. The breakup email on July 14th, 2014, I know you had some phone contact after that, but was that basically the end of your relationship?
That's the last time I ever saw her.
Okay.
We did have some, it was in August. It was after, we didn't talk between then and after the murder.
Okay, and you
Talking.
never got back together and resumed your
Oh,
relationship?
no.
No further questions.
All right, did you ever have a question of this witness? Write your question down. We'll go sidebar. So, series of questions from the
So, one thing about this trial, this judge allowed questions from the jurors. I guess it's up to the judge, but these are always my favorite, especially when Wendy was like freaking.
jury. The email, the July 14, 2014 email was that on a FSU website or a private website? Do you have any recollection?
I think that was from Wendy's Gmail account.
Okay, what about to you?
Oh, that would have been to my Gmail as well.
Okay. So the answer is no, it was not on an FSU website.
Correct.
Okay.
To the best of my recollection, yeah.
Okay. Did Ms. Adelson indicate that she wanted to relocate to have the children full time?
She talked about, she didn't talk directly about relocating because she knew that was no longer a possibility. But the other side of that coin, how unhappy she was in Tallahassee and how frustrated she was by the child custody were issues that came up, if not every day, every week, that came up very frequently.
Okay, so
Yeah, and Wendy also said the only way I could go back to Miami is if something happened to Danny. Julia, you said, why do we avoid talking about Wendy's involvement in the dark business of human trafficking? Little Wendy is being protected by someone or something. I hear you. I agree that is such a possibility, but I don't have any proof or anything of that. So I don't want to get into I don't know, slander or whatever you want to call it. But I just, I hear you on that theory, but I don't have any proof of that.
That was actually the next question about, she frequently spoke about the divorce and the custody battle.
Yes, consistently throughout the entire relationship.
And did she appear distressed when she didn't have the children with her?
Sometimes, yes.
What kind of vehicle were you driving back in July 2014?
I was driving a 2004 four-door silver Nissan Sentra.
I mean, that right there is all you need to know, that Wendy was not serious about him. He was driving a Sentra. Okay. She was not interested in him. She was using him. This was obviously the first jury in these trials. And they were like, why isn't Wendy on trial? And then they've all said that. Rebecca, I hear you. You want to block people? I don't mind people disagreeing or whatever, but you just got to be nice about it. But I know it is frustrating. And Baby Peep asked, if Wendy is arrested, does the rat that lives in her hair go to jail too? Right? Honestly, her hair, I think, looks better when she just lets it dry naturally. But the half-ass flat ironing and whatever she's got going on, it's doing zero favors. So Wendy, if you're out there, I would just start letting it go, girl. Just let it go.
Ms. Kaplan?
No further questions.
Garcia? McBanum?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank
All right, you can step down. Do we need to keep this witness any further?
Judge, I'd like to release him to go about his business, but I'd like him to remain under the rule.
All right, you can remain under the rule of sequestration, so don't discuss the case with anyone, but you're free to go about your business. You have a phone number for him if you should
Yes,
need it.
sir.
All right, thank you. You may step.
I mean, y'all, look at poor Jeff. I just feel so bad for him. He is a victim. Whoever said that, you're absolutely right. I think he is just very naive. He wants to see the best in people. And I bet now he's not trusting. Miriam, Jeff, and Tamara Demko were the first people to really know who was responsible. And I get tired of hearing about the hitman joke being Charlie's joke. It was only Wendy ever said that he said that. You're exactly right. And Georgia points that out in the closing at Charlie's trial. You're totally right, Miriam. Fletcher, agree. Jeff's original police interview is very telling. You can tell he started connecting the dots. He did. I mean, he drove back from Tennessee, and I think that interview was like 2 or 3 or something a.m. with Detective Hale. Some of his interviews have not been recorded. But then the March of 2015 interview, he's like, I've got some clarity now, and he's got all these notes. I mean, he's a smart guy, right? He's in academia. Mrs. Pisces, Wendy exhibits sociopathic tendencies similar to those of her mother and brother. I believe she uses love bombing and manipulation in all of her relationships. I totally agree. And I think she used her sexuality, her flirtatious nature, she would give that look. I mean, even didn't Tim Jansen say there's like a spell or something around her, which I can't even imagine, but yeah, Baby Peep. Of course he's bitter. He was used, right? Yeah, the rat in the hair. I know. Andrew says, Julia, Wendy worked helping those that were trafficked, not actually trafficking. Andrew, yes, but some kind of speculate maybe there's like more to this, right? I am going to tell you, I was on the Department of Justice website looking up the Epstein document. And you can type in like what you're looking for. And I typed in Adelson, but it was all that Sheldon Adelson. I was looking for Wendy to see if she was in there. She wasn't. Baby Pete, what I don't understand is not indicting her when you can indict a ham sandwich. Arrest her and see what happens. Completely agree. But I just think there's a lot more we don't know. I mean, she is a named but unindicted co-conspirator. I would love to know what the history is on people that are named co-conspirators but never indicted. I would love to know that. Gina, only Wendy considers Jeff capable of harming Danny. Denali, do you think Jeff did it and everyone else is innocent? Absolutely not. Hey, Kristen, I haven't seen you lately. George Estrada should watch this Jeff LaCasse testimony. Oh, I agree. You have to wonder, has he seen some of this? I'm like, holy crap, I have seen all of this. Denali, you don't think Jeff is sinister? Okay, so then, I mean, do you think Wendy did it? Like, tell us what you think. Is it Rickan Rays? Wendy, I do not know, but don't remembers. And shitty attitude on the stand will wear thin quickly on jurors. Yeah, I don't think she'll take the stand. There's no way. I would be shocked if she took the stand. T. Kinsella, smooth criminal, equals while Wendy not yet charged. Yeah, I think it's coming, but y'all, I mean, like I said, look at Nancy Galvani. I mean, 40 something years. Think about that. But I did talk with Allison after the hearing when her dad Pat was denied bail, and she was in such great spirits, and no, everybody was shocked. They all thought he was going to be able to have a bail set, but I think it was powerful what she said. Rebecca, you said, sadly, I don't think Wendy will take the stand in her trial, so maybe the jury won't hate her like the other juries. Yeah. Yeah, Rickan Ray says, Blue River, you're right. Laura will never let her take the stand. Although, who knows? After all, she is a narcissist and might demand to testify. Yeah, I don't think she'll demand. I mean, I think she hates testifying, but she has no choice because when you're a state witness, if they want to make you testify, they have to give you that use and derivative use immunity, or else you have the right to plead the fifth. Rebecca, Wendy has a magic hoo-ha. That's what John Smith says. True Crime Wifey, Jeffrey has different dates between first interviews and testimony, but it's because he's gone back and looked over his calendar, texts, emails, and therapist notes. March 16th, 2015 is best interview. I agree. Blue River, the evidence does not lie. Turdad, what on earth is the defense attorney trying to do here? Because he's not doing his client any favors. I'm sorry, I'm kind of behind, so I don't know which one that was. Oh, hey, Millie, why are names in blue and green and mine is in gray? So people that are a member, 99 cents a month. It's the cheapest membership on YouTube. They are in green, and then blue ones are moderators, so they can help keep bad people away. But if you are a member, which I would love it if you were, it's up to you. But you get these cute little food trucks because we all know Wendy lied about going to the food trucks. You get a little food truck emoji. Wendy is a borderline person. She has a deep personality disorder. She says stuff out of it. I agree. She has a lot going on. I've thought about what all of her diagnoses could be. I agree. Yeah, Sir Tedrick Walker. This case is much bigger than murder. Gangs, trafficking, drugs, judges, lawyers colluding. I agree. See, we need to chat. I want to have a Zoom happy hour or Teams meeting or whatever. And we all just get on there and talk about what we think. Hey, Claudia. I've always wondered how the Adelson clan found Katie McBanamont. I guess through the dental community. Yeah, she was at that office and Charlie zeroed in on her, right? Yeah, Wendy was telling anyone that would listen. I agree. And see, think about all of Wendy's girlfriends that are going to testify, the people that were at lunch with her, because I've heard they won't talk, like they're embarrassed to even be associated with this. But Janine and the other girl, Ratu, I can't think of how you pronounce it. They're going to testify. They're going to be called. They're going to be subpoenaed. It makes, yeah, Rick Hand Rays. It makes no sense that Wendy would name her brother and family early in the police interview. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Charlie is a total sleaze. Gina, I agree. Why is Denali riding so hard against Jeff? So I will say Denali is newer to the case, but definitely not a Jeff liker. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. Happy you're here. Jeff wanted to be abused by Wendy. No, Jeff has said that Wendy liked to be told what to do, like implying in the bedroom. So Tanya, I honestly don't think Wendy is that clever at all. Fancy allowing the kid's father to be murdered, the stress on the boys. She just doesn't care about anyone other than herself. Completely agree. Yes, bail denied for Galvani. That's right, YB. We're so excited. You listened to the short. It was a good short. Thank you. Yep. Red rum free for over 40 years. That's right. That was with Galvani. Allison's an amazing person. Mrs. Pisces says, the decision to prosecute Wendy rests entirely with the state attorney's office. The FBI provided assistance only. Regrettably, I don't believe they will proceed with prosecutor. I don't know. I think they're still very much involved. I just think there's more going on. I'll just leave it at that. Dad, Corey is a trailer trash version of Wendy. That's hilarious. Rebecca, how many of us have tolerated being abused by bad boys and girls when we were hoping they really cared? Mm-hmm. Yep. You're exactly right. True Grand Wifey. Charlie and Donna called the jail garb scrubs. Yeah, I guess that's because that's what they were wearing. Yep. Sir Tedrick Walker. Wendy didn't account for Jeff LaCasse to leave town the night before she set him up as the fall guy, aka Patsy, in her murder planning and calculating. That's right. Because she asked him at yoga, oh, hey, are you still, like after she broke up, are you still leaving town? And then he was so mad about the whole thing, he left earlier. Kathy, Dale Warner murder trial is wicked. I'm watching this one. You should check it out. Okay, I haven't heard about it. I will have to. Yeah, baby Peep. How does Charlie have friends? I don't know that he does anymore. I think people used him. I mean, he was basically like a wallet. You know, can't you just see him as like the guy paying for dinner and drinks and let's go out on the boat? Layla Jade, the line between good and bad characters in this case is so exaggerated. Yeah. Yeah, they were watching them at dinner. Jolie. Grish presented the idea that Wendy may have been triangulating Jeff and Dan, basically using Jeff to try to make Dan jealous of his new relationship with the boys, even calling Jeff dad. Yeah, it's true. Kathy, you saw Georgia in a trial yesterday. Do you mean online or in person? Baby Peep, you think George is afraid? I don't know what George is. Hey, Liza. Good to see you. Blue River, laughing my ass off, queso fundido. I mean, who else likes queso fundido? If you've never had it, it's sauteed chorizo with freaking queso and a fresh tortilla, bomb, and a margarita. True Crime Wifey says Judge Hankinson had jury ask questions. Yeah. Blue River, bless this judge. Yeah, I know. He had a bad diagnosis. Jolie, Wendy even planned it so Dan met Jeff when he was with the boys at swimming. I think Wendy was hoping some altercation or bad words would happen between the two men. I agree. She was playing him. Jack in the Forest. Follow up on Leslie Merriam, brother and sister finding a patsy. They each pimped themselves out, knowing that sex would be involved as part of manipulation. Brother and sister pimps with Wendy playing a porn star, per Jeff. I'm going to have to think about that. It's late and I don't know if I can process all that, but it sounds good. Yeah, baby peep, you're right. Honestly, it's pretty easy to be duped by a narcissist. Millie, common knowledge, Peter Weinstein is Wendy's godfather. He is Florida judge and state senator. Former, right? Thank you, Sir Tedrick. I know. Every statement and comment I made in this live is all my thoughts and opinions. Exactly. Tim Jansen, Dad says Tim Jansen has a very weird hang up about Wendy. As for trafficking, it is possible that she has ties with feds who investigate trafficking and they are protecting her. I mean, we just don't know. I'm thinking there's more to it. Maybe I've watched too many movies. Francis, I'm sorry to hear about your TIA. My grandmother had those. Be thinking about you. I hope FBI has Harvey and Wendy in their sights. Yeah. Me too. Armand, I am less sympathetic of George. He knows the Adelsons were involved and Wendy is a co-conspirator. Yeah, I don't understand how he's seen her brother be convicted and her mom, and she's a named and unindicted co-conspirator. Is he just like, oh, well, I don't understand. Holly, good Lord. It would be a double crime if it took 40 years to convict. I know, but it happens. Armand, I was surprised Donna did not testify. She knew she was sunk. I think the reason she didn't testify is because they say appeals are slim to none if you testified. Yeah, Sir Tedrick. Who wants to hire an unindicted co-conspirator lawyer for their law firm? I don't think anyone. I think that's part of her issue, right? Armand, I did not know she lied about the food trucks. Well, we don't know that she lied, but did they ever investigate it? I mean, who goes and spends hours at food trucks with someone they just met? So let's find out. Is there a Malia? Oh my God, Salt and Pepper. I have been so worried about you. Don't mean to crash a party, pull attention away. Just wanted to let you know, Leslie, I appreciate your concern in reaching out. Not sure when I'll be back consistently. I have been worried about you. I have been looking. I didn't know how to contact you. Oh my God. I'm happy to see you here. You can email me. It's on my YouTube page. And for anyone who has emailed me, I really apologize that I have been slacking. It's nothing against anyone. It's just been crazy. Oh, Fletcher boy, you don't have to do that. Ongoing issues with Apple Pay, YouTube is preventing me from gifting memberships and randomly not allowing super chats. Yeah, YouTube is not very Apple friendly because it's owned by Google. So a lot of times to do that, you have to go on your computer and not your iPhone. Yeah, Salt and Pepper, it's so good to see you. I mean, it just made my night seeing you. And thank you, Rock and Roll. Welcome to the food truck gang. Oh, Kristen, welcome. Oh, Millie, thanks. I'm retired, fixed income. I can afford 99 cents a month. I do just some videos just for members. I don't hide like FOIA or anything on paid memberships. I just do goofy stuff. I mean, I think y'all saw me in my robe earlier. I mean, nothing bad, but I was about to get in the hot tub and I had 2 pairs of glasses on. Pauline, Wendy was a part of the plan. She knew Dan alarm system for his house was disarmed. She was given a call about it from the security system. I agree. There's more to that too. When she's like, "Oh yeah, I got a call." If your kids were in custody of your ex-husband and you got a call about an alarm or you pulled up to a crime scene, anyone would be freaking out. Armand, naming her family in the interview was her way to show there's no consciousness of guilt. Yeah, she's awful. Kristen, I agree. Salt and pepper. I'm just so happy to see you here. And I've been really like wondering where you've been. You were like one of my number one supporters. I have been very worried about you. Thanks, Rebecca. If you're having trouble joining, you may need to go to YouTube through Google. Yes. So I can't do it on my iPhone. If I go to the YouTube website on my computer, then I can do it that way. Hey, Margaret Lee. Good to see you. Great point. Was there a recon of Dan's house day before? Who set off the alarm? Who turned off? No, I have so many questions. I mean, did they talk to Malia and the food trucks? Jack in the Forest. In my opinion, Jeff's top 3 strengths from someone who doesn't know him, me, those who know him may have a lot more to add on. Extraordinarily empathetic, highly articulate, and doggone quick-witted fast. Yeah. Blue River, not George's queso fundido. I know, Wendy should be in jail. T. Kinsella, I agree. Yeah, law lover. Ew, Wendy looks at the microphone on the stand like a porn star. It's so gross. If you know, you know. I know. Yeah, Wendy, you know what, Rebecca? Yeah, Wendy is a lawyer with no clients. So here is a girl that was what, valedictorian and has all these prestigious degrees and Coca-Cola scholarship, yada, yada, yada. But like she can't do anything. This is all imploded on her. Like they didn't plan. They just thought, well, you know what? We're going to erase Dan and it's all going to be great. But Wendy essentially, yeah, she can't get jobs because she may not be indicted, but she's a named co-conspirator in a murder. Nobody wants to touch that. YB, George is very vulnerable and Wendy takes advantage. Agree. Thanks, Rebecca. Click on hearts, helps algorithm. Yeah, I appreciate the likes. I'm happy y'all are here. Would love it if you subscribed. Jack in the Forest. We all have weaknesses, and Jeff's is sex. Wendy used sex to manipulate and control him and all men. This is why he became addicted to her. Remember his, quote, porn statement in describing her behavior. That's right. He said that they would be kissing and she would be making like moans and things like a porn video. So true. Oh, why be interesting? I'm a grief counselor and George is very typical. Nice. Jack in the Forest, I love a little history. Richard Nixon is perhaps the most famous unindicted co-conspirator. I was just thinking, so I have an autographed photo of a president. It's an 8x10, but I think it's Gerald Ford. My dad, this was years ago. I was a little girl. He was in a hotel and the president was staying there and he asked the Secret Serviceman for an autographed picture. So my brother and I have it. I don't know why I'm telling y'all that. I just thought it was interesting. Jack in the Forest. The second coming would come before Wendy took the stand at her trial. Yeah, I agree. Fletcher, the issue is intermittent on my iPad. I know, I hear you. Julia, was Jeff the jealous boyfriend or does he have a sense of pride and he did not want to be taken advantage of? He was protecting himself.